The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. Today we are here at Page One Power World Headquarters in Boise, Idaho. So greetings, salutations, and we're happy to have you here. We're happy to get together and talk a little bit about what the season brings, and that's just thoughts and ideas towards the gratitude and thankfulness, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But first, some formalities. That's me, Mike Bryant, event coordinator at Page One Power. I'll say a few things right now and a few things at the end, and that's about it. And of course, you know your presenter, your trainer, your guru of all things link building, Colin Eggleston. Welcome, Colin.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
And as a special guest, straight from the production side of Page One Power, we have our in-house link building expert, Norm Vogele. Thank you, Norm.
Thank you, Mike. Glad to be here.
And we encourage everybody to engage in the extended conversation that happens 24/7 at Page One Power on Twitter, and always use that P1P webinar hashtag. So, like I said, we're talking about gratitude today, just a theme that you can use for marketing, you can use it for life, you can use it for link building, SEO, and that's what we do best around here. It's just something that speaks to our way of doing business, and I think Colin's got some great information that he's going to share with you that's going to give you some insight and not necessarily new concepts, but a way of approaching what you're already doing with a different attitude that might surprise you at the results. So I'll give it over to Colin and take it away.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, exactly. Just as Mike was saying, there's a couple of things. There's two kind of coinciding events that are kind of happening here. First is that it is T-minus 1 week basically until Thanksgiving, give or take a day, and so with that comes the conversation, the global or the semi, or at least the regional conversation of gratefulness and gratitude. And what am I thankful for this year? What has happened? What can I contribute to that? And how can I be thankful for things in my life? So that's the one thing. The other thing that's happening is that this is the 5th webinar for the Page One Power Academy that we've done officially, and we have talked about high-level, link building concepts. We've talked about prospecting. We've talked about all these different things, but we have not yet talked about outreach. We've not yet talked about outreach and as it pertains to link building and kind of best practices. So you can say that I am thankful for the opportunity to finally have a conversation around outreach and to kind of bring that forth. So let's talk about the talking points that we're going to go over today here. So the first talking point, we want to talk about incorporating gratitude into outreach. And now I just wanted to comment as well, is that these concepts, these aren't really just Thanksgiving time only concepts. We don't just we're not going to just learn these and practice these, and then as soon as December 1st rolls around, as soon as Thanksgiving Day is over, and it's time to start thinking about Black Friday, then we just drop these concepts altogether. These are evergreen concepts. Thankfulness and gratitude should really just be incorporated into outreach at all times, but this is a perfect time to talk about it and to kind of talk about gratitude forward link building concepts. Second, we're going to talk about the benefits of thankfulness even after a rejection. If someone has rejected a link building effort or an outreach effort or a communication effort, how do you handle that? How do you unpack that? And then how do you even possibly leverage that into a success? Building and earning trust and fostering relationships. Fostering relationships for which later on you can be very grateful. Building that on a foundation of trust. Instead of instead of taking advantage or taking or mistrust. You're actually kind of starting off on the foot of trust with that stance. And then finally, helping somebody, helpfulness, mindfulness, bringing something to the table, giving gifts as a form of link and relationship building. We'll talk about some of those concepts as they relate to SEO and to link building. So, okay, so looking at the first, let's see, get the slide going here. There we go. Okay, so looking at the first one, so we want to talk about incorporating gratitude into our outreach. And this is, and I say outreach in kind of a general sense, but it really can mean link building outreach, which is what we can kind of speak to authoritatively. But honestly, it just intra-office communications. I think this can help you, help pay dividends. So how have we done it? The first thing I want to talk about is how have we done it? We as in kind of Page One Power, incorporating gratitude into our outreach and into how we communicate. One of the first things that kind of comes to mind for me is being conscious of other people's time. Being conscious of other people's time and realizing that their time is valuable and acknowledging that in your outreach, in your communication. And so that's something that I always am conscious of when I am emailing. If I'm trying to build a link or if I'm trying to build a relationship with another site on behalf of a client or on behalf of Page One Power's own ventures, I'm always conscious of that. And I want to turn it over to Norm here. And Norm, are there instances that you can kind of think of or bring to the table where gratitude has been in the forefront of our communication, of your communication?
The honest answer, and it's not just because it's Thanksgiving or because the theme is gratitude. The honest to God answer is everything we do is based around gratitude. If you really think about it, what you're doing when you're conducting a link building campaign is you're trying to associate yourself through links with other people who have already brought some form of value to the internet, whether it's some kind of directory or a blogger or any of these places that you can go to where you want to build links. And so kind of the essence of link building outreach is saying you have brought something great to the internet and I want to be associated with it. So first, thank you for doing that. You've got my attention. You've brought value. You have something that I want to be associated with. So the whole act of wanting that link and requesting that link, that is an act of gratitude. You're just like, hey, you've done this great thing, and I want the link because I want whatever I'm linking to be associated with where you could be linking from. So when you are requesting a link or you're suggesting an asset that someone could link to, you're trying to build on their value by adding value to it. And I think that whole act, that whole packaging act of bringing what you have that you want them to link to and what they already have established where you want them to link from online, that's all about sharing and being appreciative of, we're on the same team, and that's why this link should exist.
And it's interesting that you touch on, that relationship. A lot of times when we are sharing and spreading the word about a linkable asset, and we're maybe approaching somebody that is curating a resource page, for like industrial drill bits or something like that, or and we are saying, hey, I know of something that could belong on this page, that could be valuable to this page and valuable to its readers and those that encounter it. And outside of me giving you this information, my position is really, I can't force anyone. I can't arm wrestle somebody to get them to put a link up on a page. And so if and when they finally do respond, and if a link comes out of that, if they do add that great linkable asset to that resource page, then it behooves us, we instantly have to be grateful for that. And because they did in a lot of ways, they did us a favor talking about the SEO and SEO and other implications. But also it's like they took time out of their day to change something about their website that was running perfectly fine before. And as somebody, I've been on both sides of operating a website, whether both outreaching to other websites and then running one of my own. It's not easy. It's not easy running a website and checking the inbox and all those communications and doing all that, and then finally making changes and doing all that, and then on top of having a life and a job and family and everything. And so, yeah, acknowledging that is really important, and acknowledging and being thankful. And Norm really touched on this too. Is like my third point at the bottom is: do we always need to do it, or is it just around Thanksgiving? And Norm really hit the nail on the head there, where this is a universal, this is a concept unencumbered by time and seasonality. This is something that we need to be doing all the time.
Yeah, I can't help but think of that Clint Eastwood movie where someone's complaining to him about the violence he has just inflicted upon them, and he typically in his Clint Eastwood growl says, "Deserves got nothing to do with it." And I love that phrase because I think that is something to keep in mind when you're link building. You don't really deserve links. You have to be grateful for every link that you get. Because if every time you successfully get a link, whether you've convinced someone or you've just shared an asset and people have chosen to link to it, however you're earning those links, that's someone is saying they're grateful for whatever it is that you've shared, whatever it is that you've provided for them to link to. And they really deserve your gratuity too. They deserve you to acknowledge that. It's, linking is not as passive an activity as social sharing. You click a button and you've shared or you've liked or you've tweeted or whatever. So it's easy to get shares, but getting a link is a little bit more meaningful. It's more permanent. It's written right into the code on that website where you've gotten the link. So I think that always warrants a howdy do and a thank you when that happens, because you don't deserve links. You have to go out and you have to earn them and ask for them and be thankful for them.
Absolutely, and that kind of drives us to this concept that I really want to touch on. This is one of my favorite parts of mastering outreach for link building, where you can get real results and real conversions and real leverage, real value. Thankfulness after rejection. And as a link builder myself, I have received many rejections. Some of which in the form of a no thank you. Some of which in a form of I checked out your article, Colin, and it's terrible. Why are you inflicting this upon me? They're from all the above, the whole spectrum, right? But the one thing that I think served me the best as a link builder when I'm taking care of my clients and when I'm taking care of these relationships is that even if somebody was very rude, I would take time and email them and say, you know what, thank you for actually getting back to me. Thank you for not leaving me hanging and for letting me know. And hey, you know what, if you don't think that I would be a good fit for your site, do you know anyone that I might be a good fit for? And at almost every time I get a reply back with them kind of cooling off and being much nicer, and more often than not, I would get a suggestion. They would say, you know what, I actually have a buddy that runs a site over here. I could introduce you, and I can kind of give that lead, get that handshake going, and then that converts into real linking opportunities, into real relationships. And all I did was just send a quick email. I mean, it's just that the ROI is just incredible. I mean, Norm, do you have any? I'm sure you have a bounty of situations here.
It happens all the time, and I think the important lesson behind that is links are kind of reflective of relationships. It's not a website linking to a website. It's a person building that link to another website that was also built by a person. And so even in the face of rejection, someone, they don't see the value, they don't want to take the time, whatever. If they've responded to you, that thank you kind of reemphasizes that, hey, I know you're human. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the acknowledgement. I'm human too, which is why I'm
Yeah.
here thanking you. And I think that's important. And it is kind of laughable to kind of be like, hey, we're reminding people that we're human and we're acknowledging that they're human, but that simple act of thanking them, even for their rejection, the reminder that it carries can sometimes turn the no into a yes. And many times I've had people who said, I saw your response and it sat here in my inbox, and I thought about it, and whatever you proposed initially won't work, but what if we did this? And suddenly, instead of just rejecting my solicitation, they're working with me. And it's not just one person asking another person for a favor, it's two people working together because we can see the end game here. We can see the result. It's shared value, and that's what links are all about. So rejection is never really rejection. It's just an opportunity for you to just say, hey, thank you. You're human. Your time is valuable. I like to think mine is too, and I'm spending it thanking you, even though I didn't get what I said I wanted. I think that's huge.
Yeah, and that's so true. And even after somebody has taken the time to say no, or to turn you down, or anything like that, that's still an act of relationship. That's still an act of relating, and that's something that it's a little spark. It's this tiny little spark, and we can help maybe grow that, and maybe not every time, but we can definitely help and turn those into embers and into eventually kind of fires and raging, these great burning, these great lights, right? And so so it's important to acknowledge that opportunity and to not leave that equity on the table. What I've seen in training people over the years, and in my own experiences, is that a lot of us, when we get those no's, when we get those hard no's to our inquiries, we just delete them and go on. And it can be a really hard habit to break, to take those, to see those instead of a defeat, instead of an opportunity. So it really is something that you can really leverage, and you can leverage right away if you're not doing that already, because we've definitely seen it work. And that kind of dovetails into the next point, the next talking point. And this is something, and Norm and I were kind of talking about this before the webinar too, is that I learned, I just kind of happened upon Simon Sinek. I mean, I'm sure everybody, maybe everybody's listening has heard a TED Talk or two that he's given. He's kind of makes the circuits and all that. And I do like him. And this is coming from somebody. I don't really like motivational speakers at all. But this person really kind of speaks to me. So Simon has a great mantra, as a great philosophy for outreach, and he says, lead with the ask first, and save the pleasantries for later. And I linked to this great, and actually life hacker, not necessarily the most consistent source for amazing outreach examples, but you know what, this article is actually really great. And so I have the link to the article there. Please take a little bit of time to read it, because this really changed my life and how I see things. So in Simon Sinek's video, he gives an example of two types of emails, and he says that one email, the first one, where somebody, like in this one, this example here, where the person spends the first part of the email buttering you up, giving you pleasantries, talking about all this, give flattery and all that, and then with the ask, with the favor at the bottom, he says that removes trust. That removes trust, because, and I think we can all relate to this. Somebody comes up to you, a niece or nephew, or a friend or a coworker, and they sidle up to your desk, or they sidle up to you at the dinner table or something like that, and they just start saying like, "Oh, that's a great shirt that you have on today," or "Oh, that's cool. What are you doing? Oh man!" And then you just kind of hear the time clock ticking down in their brains. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I've said enough pleasantries. I think they're in a good mood. I think they're on my side. Okay, now I'm going to really ask what I was really kind of going to talk to them about. And I need $20, or I need somebody to help cover a meeting for me because I need to go to a dentist appointment. And can you please run this meeting while I'm out of the office, or can I please have a pony, or something like that. And so Simon says this, and I won't really read this email out loud, but so that anyone that's watching can read through it. But in the beginning, the person does the buttering up and then asks for an online contest. Asks, hey, I'm in this online contest, and I want going to win a big prize. I was wondering if you could vote for me. Anyway, hope we'll talk to you soon. But he says that all you do to actually help build trust is to keep the words the same, change the order around. So this builds trust. Hey, I'm hoping you could vote for me in an online contest where I can win a big prize. I haven't seen you in years. I hope you're well. Congratulations on all you've been doing. It's really amazing. We should grab a coffee sometime. The favor is right there. Once you ask them for the favor, then you can talk about pleasantries, and then the pleasantries seem a lot more sincere, and they're actually grateful for them, instead of them just dreading reading what you've written, and then finally getting to, what does this person want? Oh, okay, they want me to vote for them in this dumb contest. Whatever, I probably will or probably won't. But this totally turns around. Norm, let's weigh in here, buddy. Let's, because this is a big thing.
This is huge. And Colin, he introduced me to this same thing, this open with the ask concept. And as soon as I heard it, I was just like, well, that makes absolute sense. And part of the reason it makes absolute sense goes back to what Colin kind of said at the beginning of this broadcast, which is you got to show that you're thankful for people's time, be respectful of their time. Well, how can you thank someone for their time if you waste it by writing them this long, verbose email where you're so attractive and wise and you have all these great things. Oh, by the way, I need something from you. Like, that's not respectful of their time. Yeah, you can write a follow-up email and say, oh, thanks for responding. That's really super. But why don't you actually prove that you respect and appreciate and value their time by opening up with, hey, this is what I want, and then proceed to say whatever it is that you need to say. But suddenly the flattery feels a lot less necessary, and you don't need to commend them on how wise and attractive they are. Instead, you can just qualify your request. Hey, you have something great here. I want to be associated with it. And you're much more concise, to the point, and authentic. And that authenticity, I think, lends itself to any follow-up that you're going to do, or even a signature that you're going to leave where you say, thank you for your time. I appreciate you reading this. I appreciate your consideration. And I always frame it, by the way, as your consideration, because, again, I don't deserve this link. I want this link.
Yeah.
I hope I can earn this link through your consideration. And that's what you're really asking for. And if you're bringing something, valuable to the table, if you've come to the party with the right gift, the consideration is going to be positive. So if you've done your homework, then all you really need is a moment of their time and consideration, and that's what you should ask for, and nothing more than that. None of that previous example, I'm an inauthentic person, and I don't actually want to talk to you. I'm just trying to sandwich in my request here where you might have to read it twice before you realize I'm asking you for something. That's not constructive. It's not respectful. And it's never going to get you as good a results as if you open with the ask, say why you're here, and then say anything else that you feel is necessary and appropriate to making good use of this person's time.
That's so true. And just thinking about it, a lot of the correspondence we do isn't face-to-face. And a lot of it is electronic, either through like social media, direct messaging, or through emails, which is probably the most common. You don't have a lot going for you in an email. You may be able to get away, you may be able to get away with this, the pleasantries first type model in person. Maybe, there's other signifiers there. There's body language, there's tone of voice, there's eye contact, there's all these different things, right? Email, you have none of that. So you have so little going for you that you really can't afford to squander it by what Norm said was so perfect, is by wasting their time by writing that stuff first and then butter them up for some sort of favor. And I'm a huge MASH fan, and so it's like, how would Colonel Potter write this email, right? Does it pass the Colonel Potter standard, or maybe like a more recent example like Battlestar Galactica? Like would Commander Adama How do you think he emails people? Do you think he spends time in his emails buttering people up if he needs, if he needs somebody to do something for him? Like, I don't think a lot of his time is spent doing that. And so it has to pass the Commander Adama, the Admiral Adama bar. So, okay, here's a link to this video. And so if you actually click on this, it should take you directly to the section where Simon talks about it. It's about 24 minutes and 50 seconds in. And that's where the hero starts taking, talking about this point. But if you have it's about an hour long. If you have the full hour to just watch this or to just let it go in the background, it'll be worth your while. It'll be worth your while for sure. Generosity. 'Tis the season. 'Tis the season for generosity and for actually, for thankfulness. And we kind of talked about, okay, what are some best practices we can weave into the way that we outreach and the practices and the philosophies by which we outreach. I want to talk about some link building best practices in three strategies that we like to use or that we recommend. First of which is broken link building, in the sense that if I'm looking at someone's site and I think this could be a really valuable site and I really like a link from this site, I'm searching around for. I have tools that I can scan, like check my links or Domain Hunter that are Chrome extensions, and you're checking for broken 404 links on the target site, on the prospect site. And you really then just say, you take that and you say, hey, I found, you email, your outreach says, hey, I found this 404 link, and you know what, it's on this page, and I found it here, and there's a couple more there, and here's the URLs, and here's where you can find them. And then kind of go through and, hey, by the way, I have an addition to this resource page. If you have a second to just add it in there while you're fixing those broken links, that I'd be very grateful. I'd be much obliged. Norm, have you kind of encountered a lot of situations with broken link building?
Maybe not a lot, but I've definitely run into it where I kind of mentioned this before, I think, where you're always coming to the party with a gift, right?
Yeah.
If we're talking about Thanksgiving, you don't just show up to get fed. You're bringing something to the table. And with link building, you must always do that. You can never request a link if it's not clear that you're bringing a value added. Sometimes that link is the value added, but this broken link building technique, you're showing, hey, I care about your site too, and I know you're busy. I looked at this, I did, a lot of the legwork for you, and I'm trying to help you out. And, for my trouble, here's another link. It's also going to add value. You're already going to be repairing the site. People are very responsive to that, in my experience. Webmasters and site managers, they like to see that engagement. It's not a criticism. It's, you're such a lazy webmaster. Look at all these broken links. No, it's, hey, I can see what you're doing here. There's a lot of value. I'm gonna point out a couple links that you probably need to update this, and then right there you've got a new relationship going on. You offered them something. You made it clear. There's something else that you could do that would help both of us. And again, that's the essence of link building, is that shared value based on that human relationship. Human eyes were on the page. They looked at it. They saw a way to improve it, and there's going to be human value added through that link in the end.
And and it's about bringing something to the table, and it's about adding to the general conversation, the global conversation on the web, and not really detracting that, or not really adding to try this or spam or anything like that. And so that's paramount. The other thing too, comments. The second bullet here: comments, interaction, shares on the site. So if I'm really liking the site. If I'm liking this site and it's something that's a site that I want to build a relationship with, well, one of the ways that you build a relationship is by jumping in and talking and communicating and interacting with the site and commenting on articles that you like and commenting on valuable assets on the site or other conversations that are going on there without, and this is tough to do, but really without the expectation necessarily that oh boy, okay, I'm gonna butter them up and then ask them for something. But you know what? Just jump in there, contribute to the site, talk to people. Like I have had people ask me out of the blue. I've just been kind of commenting and kind of interacting with articles on this like a movie fan site, and they asked me within a couple of weeks. They said, hey, you seem to be pretty active here. Do you want to write anything for us? Are you interested in that? And I wasn't really kind of looking for that, but I was like, you know what? That's awesome. I absolutely, I'll take you up on that. And so this is another form of giving as well. Comments, interacting, shares. Norm, can you speak to that at all?
My view of this too kind of goes back to the open with the ask email, where I think a lot of people have the instinct of, I need to prove that I engage with this person's site and I like their content. And so instead of leaving a comment on that page or on that image or post or wherever, they reference it in these big fluffy emails with puffery like, oh, I saw this page. It was really, really great, and I just wanted you to know. It's like, well, if you really liked it that much, then why don't you just comment on the page where the world can see it and it actually adds value? It proves that there's engagement. It proves that there's an audience. Webmasters love that. They need to see it. They want to know that they're reaching their audience. And, you know, emails are nice, but it's not exactly a postcard where it's a just thinking of you, because you're using that puffery to make a request. So I would say take that out of your outreach emails, since we're talking about outreach, and put it into a comment. You know, tweet something out and say, I read this and it's awesome. I want all my followers to know about it. And then you send that email and you say, all right, this is what I want. You have that footprint showing that you did actually engage. If it's truly necessary, which is usually not the case, but if you feel it's necessary, you can point out, yeah, I saw this article and it you know, was really interesting to me, and that was part of my basis for interacting with you. But it comes after the ask, and it's so much less important than proving that that engagement was there and being more just honest and upfront with whoever it is that you're outreaching. So I think the sharing and the interaction is great. Webmasters love it. You're probably going to learn something, if only by accident, when you actually go out and leave intelligent comments and share with your targeted audience. But it can help you clean up your outreach a little bit when you don't put stuff into an email that actually belongs on the website itself, comments, shares, whatever.
You know, and I'll add one more point to this too. That's actually that happened to me in the past, was that I was interacting with website A and commenting, having a discussion in the comment section after an article and sharing things out. Well, the author of the article wasn't even associated with that website. They were, you know, guest contributing, or they were a friend of the site. And then they PM'd me and they said, hey, Colin, do you want to write for my site? Which I hadn't even discovered yet and I hadn't even been aware of. And so it's that level. And then suddenly you have these two relations that just from interacting with one site, you suddenly have an opportunity to write for another site and kind of build content there and build relationships there. But also you still have everything you had going with the original site. So again, it just really pays dividends just to get out, jump in there, contribute, help, talk, have fun, and then, you know, good things come of it. Good things come of it. And then finally, just real quickly, I'll touch on this too. This concept could go for an entire podcast itself, or a podcast. I have a podcast as well, but for another webinar itself. 404 reclamation, similar to broken link building in a lot of ways, where you're seeking out content that has, you know, the content that has a lot of links pointing to it, but now that piece of content is dead. It's 404, that page is no longer live. Well, if you go and contact all the people that are linking to that now dead piece of content and say, hey, you were linking to this article about, you know, pajama bottoms, and you know what, I found another article, a great article about pajama bottoms that you could just drop right into that same spot. You know, and then you start the relationship there, where it's like you took the time, researched it, found it, and then gave them an alternative, and that's a really good, you know, foot to start the relationship on. And yeah, Norm, thoughts on that?
It's a similar door opener to the broken link building, and it's another example of that. You're bringing something to the party. You're bringing a gift. You're bringing food to the potluck. You're adding value, and you're proving that you care because you're offering something that they need. And one step further, if you're doing an engaged link building campaign, in a perfect universe, when you find these broken links to content that has gone the way of the dodo for whatever reason, you will have the content that you actually want to be linked to. It's your content. You're trying to build links to this page, this object, whatever, and that is the substitute that you put out there. You know, you're doing research just as you would for any other kind of link building service where you're trying to figure out where do I live on the internet? Who's my audience? What do they want to know? And when you find a piece of content that you have a viable substitute for, and you find broken links to that content, then be the substitute and say, hey, you know, I know people want to come here. I know they're looking for this this asset that's been 404'd, but I have one right here for you. It's going to solve that problem. It's going to keep your visitors happy. So it doesn't always have to be yours. You can certainly just build that trust and that equity by sharing other viable content. But if you have it on your site, then that's a real quick way to get a link and a friend.
There you go. Two really good things to kind of help help you on your journey to to the kind of success in the web footprint and the social the internet presence that you want to build. I wanted to, and that's about it. We're kind of rushing up against the end of our time here. I wanted to go through quickly and just kind of touch on these. So this is from an article that was recently published from Citation Labs, and these are some best practices that they figured out through a lot of actual kind of empirical testing, sending in lots of emails and then recording the results, which you would think like, oh yeah, hasn't that been done a million times before? Well, yes and no. There's not a lot of like, as it pertains to SEO. There's not a lot of this as it pertains to SEO, as it pertains to link building. And so this is actually a really good set of best practices, talking about asking questions and subject lines, creating that conversation in the person's head before they even open the email, including location-specific details, personal, things like that. That's kind of on a another relatability factor. Shorter emails are always good. I tend to really preach that as far, err on the side of getting the important information out there, getting the little nuggets, maybe a pleasantry or two, but spend no more than 10 words, right, of that. And then if they have questions, if they want more information, they're going to ask. They're going to ask, and they're going to say, hey, what do you mean? Or hey, can you tell me more? But if you just drop an Ivanhoe sized email on all of your prospects, then your conversion rates are just going to tank. And it's finding more personal details on the site. Mentioning in the email, personalization is a good touch too. Sharing a story, that's kind of the mission behind the email. And then the number 6 is probably one of my favorites that I've actually put into practice personally. Hey, let's hop on a phone. Let's hop on a phone call. Hey, if you have any questions, here's my number, or here's my cell, or here's my Skype handle, and let's hop on a call. I think that really helps people. Like what Norm was saying earlier, is like, I'm a person too. Any comments on these best practices?
No, that's perfect. I think every single one of these falls under that heading of you're a human, you're writing to another human, act like it. Mm-hmm. You're respecting their time, you're being concise, you're being transparent about what it is that you want. And they talk about personalization and that kind of thing. And I think that's nice, but it's again, it just flows into, I know who I'm talking to, I know you're real, and I believe that you will find this valuable. And again, it all comes down to, I am adding value. Your email is asking for value in exchange for value. Mm. So as long as you keep those things in mind, I think all 6 of these should fall into line pretty naturally. Maybe not the subject line one, and that's, I guess that falls under personalization to some extent. Some people have specific rules for how they want to be outreach. Some people, it's, come at me with your best shot, make me want to open this email, and then you have to use your best judgment to figure out who that person is. They're human, and what human subject line can you throw in there? I try not to recycle subject lines a lot. I try to make them completely unique every time. It's a tall task, but personally, my experience has been that it works because it shows, you did your research, and the email is going to be consistent with the subject line. It's short, it's specific, it's respectful, and it's human, if nothing else.
And respecting someone's time, and actually you doing a little bit of research about to whom you are outreaching to, right? If you are doing a little bit of research, and you're exactly like Norm was saying, is, hey, a lot of sites will say, if you want to talk with us and you have a specific question or type of question, please use this subject line. Please use this subject line and this subject line only, right? Or please use this, please only send PDFs, or please only send, docx formats or something like that. And if you don't do that, if you just charge in there with whatever subject line, I don't care, I'll just get email them, it doesn't matter. They know right away that you gave a damn, right, about actually wanting to respect their time and look into how you should communicate with them and how to best outreach to them and start that relationship. So it's very important to actually do that and respect their time, and doing a little bit of research is great, because it's a net positive for you. The more you learn about a person and their site and their goings on, it's just a net positive. There's no, maybe if you spend every second of every day learning about it, there's some diminishing returns, but there's definitely a lot of good to be had. I was going to pop over to Mike. I just want to see if I don't know if you want to do a poll or send out anything, or where you at on that?
Well, at this point, I think what we want to do is just talk about food, because it's lunchtime in Boise, Idaho. We're talking about Thanksgiving, being grateful. And my biggest takeaway from today is the fact that the internet, if it's done right, should be a delicious potluck. Link builders, you've got this casserole dish full of candied yams. You need to be able to write the right type of correspondence and outreach to get invited to that feast. And that's been our mission and our way of doing things here at Page One Power. If you want to learn more about link building, if you want to have a customized training program built specifically for your company, Colin here can do that for you. We provide training programs that have a curriculum that is specific to your needs, your marketing needs, your website needs, you name it. But next month, Wednesday, December 16th, we'll be back with a new message and a new webinar. So stay tuned. Go to pageonepower.com. Check out our resource library to view past webinars, and then check out the calendar to see upcoming dates for what's next. And as always, on Twitter, check out the continued conversation with the hashtag P1P As far as our controls for our software, we lost it. Excuse me. There we go. All right. So before we close, I'm going to send out this question. Just for those that are here, if you want some more information about our training program, just respond accordingly there to the poll. We'll leave that up for just a few seconds. Any closing comments, Colin or Norm?
It's a big world out there, and the internet is a very large place. It's growing bigger every day. Be grateful for the people that you meet. Be grateful for the interactions that you have, and for the things that you can learn, and the gifts that you can give, and maybe the gifts that you can receive too. So just be grateful out there, and be mindful of making the world a little bit better place.
Yeah, I think the internet can always benefit from more empathy, as can the rest of the world. So when I talk about you're a human, you're talking to other humans, remember that. That's basically empathy 101. So I would encourage everyone to be empathetic, in their lives, in their outreach, in their marketing, their link building, everywhere that you have the opportunity, be empathetic, and remember you're a person interacting with other persons.
Well, wonderful, gentlemen. Thank you again for all those who joined us. We'll have the video up on our YouTube channel and our website within 24 hours, so look for that. And like I said, come back and see us next month. Have a good day. Goodbye.